dispensation to people who are MBAs but do not necessarily have 5 years experience with a listed company. It's on a case-by-case basis. That basically I've tried to rush this through because A, we started late and B, what I've been trying to do is to highlight just the key players who impact corporate governance and how the thinking of the task force has enabled the empowerment of these players so that corporate governance effective practices take place in a company. I think it's the questions can be left later. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Hashmi sir. I hope all of you must have enjoyed his presentation, especially the very interesting comparison through pictures. And it is said that a picture is worth 1,000 than the words. That means giving more impact on the minds. The next presenter that we have invited is Syed Asad Ali Shah. He is the managing partner of M. Yusuf Adil Salim and Chartered Accountant, a member of Deloitte. He is a fellow member of ICAP, past president of ICAP, and board member of IFEC. Elected as chairman of 26th session of Intergovernmental Group of Experts on Accounting and Financial Reporting Standards, UNCTAD, United Nations Geneva, ISAR. He has represented ICAP in various global forums, including ICES, UNCTAD, United Nations, in the meetings of the world standard setters. He has been frequently invited as speaker or chairman in national and international seminars, including seminars organized by World Bank, Asian Development Bank, OECD, IFEC, and United Nations. He was the chairman of the Corporate Governors Group of South Asian Federation of Accountants, which had developed best practices for corporate governance in SAFA region. He also chaired the committee which drafted the guide on corporate governance for family-owned entities. Currently, he is a member of the Committee on Development of Code of Corporate Governance for Public Sector Enterprises. With these words, gentlemen, I would like to invite Shah for his presentation on the content of the code, purpose of board's role, corporate governance, and key changes from 2012, what is missing, and approaches to the code beyond compliance. So please put your hands together and welcome Shah for his presentation.
Kalia Saab. Let me just share with you that today's session chairman, Mr. Masood Naqvi, unfortunately will not be able to join us because there is some family emergency. He is in a hospital for some family member. So we will not have the session chairman. We'll have to bear with each other in his absence. So perhaps we'll have more time for question-answer session. Basically, this is what I'll try to cover: the context of the code, the purpose of corporate governance and board's role, key changes from 2012 code. Some of the key changes actually Hashmi Saab has also covered, but I'll provide my own insights and my comments. Also, it is going to be a kind of a critique also, that what should have been there and what is not there, and also what is, some of the important aspects which should have been there in the corporate governance. And when I'm making this presentation and providing my comments, I must acknowledge here the great work done by the task force and the PICG and the SECP in developing this code and amending the code. It is not meant to be it is going to be a critique with some further improvements required. It should not be taken as a criticism. I personally feel that the time that it has taken for us to amend the code has been pretty long, 10 years from 2002 to 2012. I hope that some of the issues that, some of those issues which I am going to highlight also, and some other issues which, other stakeholders may identify, should be taken into consideration, and the code should be updated more frequently. In this dynamic world and ever-changing world, I think 10 years' time is too long for a code. Code requires updation. I think some of the immediate changes should be done probably in the few months, and I'll highlight some of those major issues with the code, and others should be updated, over a period of 3 years or 4 years. I will also cover some provisions of the King III, which I think is an excellent code because it combines governance with sustainability, and I'll talk about that as well. And also I'll talk about some of the enforcement issues in the code, the way we are trying to implement, and also in the end, what I think should be the approach to the code and what the benefit should be. First of all, the purpose of corporate governance, ladies and gentlemen, is twofold. First of all, a code is established or developed and enforced by the regulators to help the companies achieve their objectives, their bottom line and other performance-related objectives. And second aspect is the public interest aspect. The aspect that relates to, which I have explained a bit later, relating to accountability and transparency and to protect the minority shareholders and those type of objectives. Company objectives, as I said, relate to performance, to conduct its business so as to enhance corporate profit and shareholder gain. That's the primary objective. And public interest, as I said, accountability and reporting to shareholders and market participants to ensure market confidence. These are the objectives with which a code is promulgated. And key to good governance, almost in all codes, is the role of the board and its effectiveness. And rightly in our code also, this aspect, there has been emphasis on the board's responsibilities and board's functions. But I think some of the elaborations which are required, which I will also point out, but which I have seen in many other codes, it is not as elaborated as it should be in terms of, because you see the purpose of code of corporate governance is not just to issue regulations, but also to enhance and improve, provide guidance to the companies and directors so that best practices can be adopted. In pursuing the company's objectives, board's role is to assume accountability for the success of the company by taking responsibility for both failure and success. These are the kind of statements which should be there in a good code of corporate governance, which I find somehow missing in our code. Let me now cover some of the changes as I look at it with my comments on the code. I'll try not to repeat what Hashmi Saab has already covered, but I will provide my own comments the way I look at it. First of all, starting with the composition of the board encouraged to have a balance of executive and non-executive directors. Very good statement. Including independent directors and those representing minority interests with the requisite skills, competence, blah, blah, blah. It's an excellent statement. But what is missing here is there is no guidance on recommended size of the board. I think most of the codes, and especially in our situation, there should have been some recommendation on the size of the board. because it's very important to have the right size.